Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche, and I am going to round out my little mini series on native Michigan shrubs you can find along the lake shore with the shortest one of the three, Bearberry. Another common name is kinnikinick, and the Latin is Arctostaphylos uva-ursi. That's a fun one to say. It is a trailing evergreen little native shrub. It has a coefficient of conservatism of 8 out of 10, which means when you see it, you're in a pretty special, relatively undisturbed natural area. And this one's rated upland. You usually find it in drier site conditions. It is in the Ericaceae family along with blueberries and cranberries, but it is one of the few species in that family that's not necessarily characteristic of acidic sites. The Latin name translates to bunches of grapes for bears, very, very roughly. It's a little repetitive, but basically it offers grapefruit for bears, and that's where the Latin name or scientific name comes from. And its range includes much of North America except south central and southeastern United States. And there are many other species in this genus out west, but including uva-ursi. And out there it's commonly called manzanita, which is a Spanish word for little apple. Little apples. So it is distributed worldwide in northern boreal and alpine regions. So quite a big range for this species. As far as habitat goes, you can find it in open to lightly shaded sites across diverse ecosystems with dry to dry mesic, well-drained, sandy and rocky soil substrates. And those substrates can either be acidic all the way through circumneutral to basic. So you'll find it in places like pine and oak barrens, cobble and bedrock lake shores, sandy Great Lake shorelines like we are here on the north side of Lake Huron in the Gerstacker Preserve, a nature conservancy property. Limestone pavement or elvar along beaches, wooded dune and swale complexes, and out west it's a typical component of chaparral vegetation, and these are shrublands on very arid landscape settings. And it is specifically adapted to survive dry site conditions. So it has small, entire, untoothed, unlobed leaves that are thick and leathery. They have a really thick epidermis, and they have very hard, tough, woody stems. And the leaves are oriented pretty vertically to help reduce heat load from lots of sun. They have small flowers and seeds that are adapted to drought and fire and are capable of remaining viable in the seed bank for decades. As far as culture goes, this is a low prostrate shrub. It only gets 2 to maybe about 8 inches tall. It forms a mat of trailing branches with leafy upright shoots. It can trail and then root at the nodes to spread itself vegetatively. It prefers full sun, but can persist in light shade like we are here under the cedars on the edge of the beach. It can tolerate drought, low nutrient availability, a range of soil pH and thin soils, as well as cold temperatures. So this is a tough, little adaptable shrub. It is slow growing, but long lived. Its woody root system can go down 3 to 6 feet, making it very difficult to transplant, but you can start it from rooted cuttings. It can spread slowly by seed, and it makes a superb ground cover in dry, rocky or sandy landscape plantings. As far as identification goes, one big clue is the trailing form of the shrub. It has red-brown, kind of ashy colored bark that can get flaky as the plant gets older, kind of papery flaky. The leaves are thick and leathery and evergreen. Each leaf lasts for a couple of years. They are alternately arranged along the stem. They're simple, so no lobes, and they're about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch long and about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch wide. Overall, their shape is obovate, which means wider past the midpoint of the leaf, wider towards the tip, or spatulate. And so entire, so no teeth, but the margins can have fine little hair-like projections, so a ciliate margin. And they can be dark green and lighter below, turning bronze or red in the autumn. It flowers May to early June in clusters of 1 to 6 drooping flowers that are at the tips of last year's twigs. Each flower is about a 1/2 inch long and wide and can be white to pale pink. And there are these cute little bell-shaped flowers with 4 to 5 rounded lobes and 8 to 10 stamens. And they are insect pollinated. They look a lot like you would see on a blueberry shrub. Here's a close look at those leathery little leaves with the ciliate margin and the relative size of the fruit. The fruit of this species matures to a round, bright red drupe in July through September. And they're dry and mealy, and they can persist through the winter months. And they're about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch in diameter. As far as faunal associates go, the bell-shaped flowers are pollinated by long-tongued bees, and they offer both pollen and nectar. Also visited by butterflies and even hummingbirds. Not too many insects feed on the foliage, but it is a host plant for brown and hairy elfin, Phrygia fritillary, and some moths. The foliage is browsed sparingly by deer and elk, and the fruit is eaten by so many wildlife species: upland game birds, songbirds, black bears, small mammals, and it's especially used as an emergency food source in the winter and very early spring. The history of this plant species in human use: indigenous peoples used it for a variety of medicinal uses, often relating to kidney and urinary problems. And the leaves were used as a substitute or an extender for tobacco and smoked. In the landscape, it's a really important sand dune stabilizer, along with trailing juniper, Juniperus horizontalis. And it's just a tough little ground cover in rocky and sandy sites. It's great early season pollinator support and an important emergency winter food resource for our wildlife. So I hope you take a look at your landscapes and see if you can incorporate the lovely little bearberry. Take care and have a good week.